Hey, welcome to the weekly update. So this update is a little bit hard to do, and I'm finding it a little bit more difficult than I thought I would. And the reason is I have decided to stop revisions on day and night. This decision didn't come lightly, and this is, I'm kind of battling, feeling a little defeated about it. But I wanted to take this opportunity in this update to go through the reasons why I'm deciding to do that, what's coming up next, and what that process taught me. So why am I stopping day and night? In the end of the first draft and into revisions, I started developing this feeling that there was something a little bit wrong about the book and something that I didn't quite like. The main thing is what I realized I did was I took so much of what I was reading at the time and I was trying to make it all of these things. During writing, I read, The Wheel of Time, I read some Brandon Sanderson, I read some sci-fi, I read some spy espionage, I read a lot of nonfiction. Now, deriving from those things is not bad. I think that's generally what a lot of people do is they, derive things and they make their version of it. I think that's great. I think I will continue to do that. But what I was finding about this book, this novel, Day and Night, was that it was so derivative of each of these things that it was kind of, I felt that it was having an identity crisis the whole time. And what I felt was that it wasn't doing any of these things great, and it was only doing some of these things well. So it just started to feel really off. During the first draft, I really thought that was fine, and I do think that it could be salvaged, but during revisions, I kind of was finding that it was just not the story that I wanted to tell. And if we're being completely honest, I always kind of knew that the first novel that I wrote was going to be a kind of quote unquote a practice one and how I learned. So that kind of transitions us into what did I learn out of this process? And I think that is the best thing that I could have done is to just write a novel. The first thing that I learned is that I need to do a little bit more of an outline. I've talked about it several times on the channel before, but I really tried to do almost zero outlining on Day and Night. From day one, I did almost nothing. I didn't even have an idea of where the plot was going to go. And the reason for that is in the past, I would get started on writing. I've wanted to write a novel for a long time. I would get started and I would get caught up so much in the weeds of knowing every single detail that I would almost ruin the whole process for myself because I would get to the point where I was like, there's no surprises for me. This is not fun. This feels like work. So then I would stop after like chapter 2, 3, 4. And it would be so defeating. So I wanted to come into this novel just completely blind, set a goal for myself each day and just hit that goal every single day, finish the first draft and, go from there. Now, that worked. I got the first draft and I wrote, 100,000 word novel. And I see that as, when I start to feel a little bit defeated, I have to remind myself of that. And I have to remember that that is an accomplishment and that I did that. And I really think that I can do it again. So the lesson learned here is that I need to do a little bit of an outline. I need to have an idea of kind of a, who, what, how, why, kind of this rough sketch of where the novel's going. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to outline a little bit more. I am going to do not like a full detailed outline. So it's going to be friendly to the discovery and outline versions of writing. So that is the plan going forward. The other thing that I really learned was tracking really helps me so much. Tracking, what progress I made during that day, what I need to fix, all of that. And I think that I can do that even better on a second novel. What that really looks like is really taking that tracking that I'm already doing and really making it into a kind of a living document that will help me figure out, I missed something here. I need to go back and touch on that, whatever. So that's kind of the second thing that I learned and the thing that I think I'm more prepared for now. The last thing that I learned is, I really learned the genre that I want to write. And more specifically, I learned the genre that I don't want to write. I like to dabble reading fantasy. It's not my favorite by any means, but I kind of came to that conclusion while writing this, and that I don't think that fantasy writing is for me. So what I was finding is Day and Night, the parts that I really loved were the sci-fi, the mystery parts of it, and the parts that I was kind of like having to slog through myself for the fantasy. So I think that I'm just going to move on from fantasy right now. I do like to read it. I do enjoy it sometimes, but it's just not, I don't think it's, not only is it not for me right now, but it's not the thing that I want to, if I was to publish a novel, I don't really want the pressure of having to write another fantasy novel. The thing that really gets me excited is sci-fi, mystery, kind of the spy espionage stuff. That's the thing that gets me excited. So that's kind of a perfect segue here into what's next. I have been toying around with an idea for several months, probably 3 or 4 months, and I have not written much about it until the past 2 days. The past 2 days I've started really getting going on that and really exploring this idea that I had. I was in a meeting for work, of all places, and somebody said something that just kind of sparked an idea in my head. As of now, this is kind of sitting in that real world kind of mystery, a little bit of espionage kind of setting. What I'm finding is that the books that I really get excited about reading and the writing that I really get excited about is really grounded and really, believable, but in a fiction way, and a little bit of humor, which I felt was something I struggled with in Day and Night. I think that I can kind of reset and figure out how I want to write that, and doing it in a grounded way that's kind of where I think that's where I'm going to like to write, is that almost believable, grounded sense. The things that I'm thinking about here are like, The Martian, even Project Hail Mary. I know that's that's a little bit more sci-fi, but there's some groundedness to it. Some of the mystery and espionage novels that I've been reading that are a little bit more grounded. So I'm very excited about this project. It is a little bit strange being back to square one. I've got a document with a couple hundred words in it now. But I do think that the planning is going much better, and that I'm planning this out a little bit so where I have kind of an outline of where I want to go and what kind of needs to come next. When I was writing Day and Night, it was kind of like I would finish a chapter and then it was like, well, where do we go now? And usually, I think that's fine sometimes, but what that meant for Day and Night is it was kind of just like, if you, dear viewer, were to read my first draft as it is now, you would get probably to the halfway point, and it takes such a big swing of a turn that it would give you whiplash. Like it just has no idea who it wants to be, and I think that I already know what this next novel wants to be. It's making me very excited to go and write it. I don't think that every day is going to be exciting, but I think that most of the time, I saw somebody else on YouTube say not too long ago that, writing should be fun. This is a hobby. This is something that should, be a refreshing thing to do, and it should be a good time. So I'm very much looking forward to that, and so far it has been that. I still will be kind of a discovery writer within this, but with a little bit of a loose outline and rough sketch. So that is the plan for now. I think I am sad to see Day and Night go. It will sit on my shelf, and I do think that there is a good story there, so who knows, one day I may go back to that. I know many authors do that. They will write something, it's just not working, they'll drop it and then come back to it later on and it becomes great. Or maybe it doesn't, maybe it still doesn't work for them. But either way, this is kind of a farewell for now to Day and Night. It taught me so much. If you are writing right now, if you are writing a novel, I would encourage you to at least finish it. Finish that first draft. It will tell you so much about yourself. I do have a little bit of regret not finishing the revision process on that, but I do want to finish a first draft for this new project and revise it to a point where, I would give the whole book to somebody. That is my goal on this one. Honestly, the goal for Day and Night was just finish a novel. So the goal now, I am ratcheting it up a peg. I want to finish this project and revise it to the point where I can give it to someone and say, hey, this is a polished novel. Would you like to read it? And that's going to be, I'm very much looking forward to that day. If you've been here for any of the updates on Day and Night, thank you so much, and I hope that they provided some sort of value to you. If you're writing a novel right now and you're watching these, honestly, I'm impressed. It is not an easy thing. I'm very much looking forward to starting this new one. If you're watching and you're writing a novel, follow along. Let's engage. Let's talk, and let's figure out some of the problems that we're having together. Thanks so much for stopping by. We'll see you next week for an update on the new project. Bye.